birth of military aviation, Britain.
Military aviation really began here in Aldershot, and it began in what was then Gibraltar Barracks, which is where Browning Barracks are today, because those were the barracks of the Royal Engineers. The first ever balloon flight, military balloon flight in Britain, took place in Aldershot in 1863. But then there was a long pause while the army considered whether or not they wanted to use balloons. Eventually, after the American Civil War, they realized that balloons were useful for reconnaissance. And it really took off in Aldershot when they moved the balloon school and balloon factory, which had been set up in Chatham a few years before, into Gibraltar Barracks. And it was really developed in Gibraltar Barracks. The balloons began to be used on the exercises, the regular annual exercises, which showed their value. And it was from here that then balloon sections deployed to the Boer War, for example, where they were actually used in action. It was also here in Aldershot that an American, Samuel Cody, came in 1904 to demonstrate his new idea of man-lifting kites.
There is a flower within my heart, Daisy, Daisy, planted one day by a glancing star, planted by Daisy.
He was trying to sell his man-lifting kites to the army as a better solution for reconnaissance than balloons, especially in poor weather. And initially he demonstrated these on Queen's Parade. The army was sufficiently impressed that they appointed Cody as chief instructor of kiting at the balloon school. He wasn't here in Aldershot too long because over that winter of 1904-1905, the balloon school moved out of Gibraltar Barracks here a few miles north to what was then Laffan's Plain in Farnborough. This was because they wanted to expand. The commander of the balloon school particularly wanted to build airships for which there was no space in Aldershot. Cody went with them, but he had no interest in airships. He saw no future in airships. He was more interested in building aeroplanes. And he had a big falling out with the colonel of the balloon school. So he left their employ. But the GOC at the time, who was General Smith-Dorrien, allowed Cody to maintain a workshop on Laffan's Plain. And it was there that he built British Army Aeroplane No. 1 and made the first ever powered flight in Britain in October 1908 on Laffan's Plain. And so with the balloon school, which morphed into the into the aircraft factory, and with Cody's pioneering work and then his successors, Farnborough became the centre for aviation development. It was the Royal Aircraft Factory until 1918, when in 1918 the Royal Flying Corps, which was the Army's flying battalion, and the Royal Naval Air Service were merged together to create the new independent service of the Royal Air Force.
This is a full-size replica of what we call British Army Aeroplane No. 1A. He was experimenting with kites and kite gliders. They sent Cody to France to find an engine for the airship. And it's thought while he was there, he may have seen aeroplanes flying in France.